All right, episode 3. We're doing it. First, I have a couple things prepared. I have a
Well,
few.
thank you for having me on.
Oh, dude,
I'm
of
excited.
course.
Yeah, something we've been talking about for a long time. So
Dude, this is going to be one of many, we will say.
yeah, definitely.
Also, yeah, no, is your mic good? Like the position and stuff?
Yeah, I think it'll be fine. I'll probably move it around a little bit here and there.
Okay. All right. Episode 3. We got Blake on, long awaited, and this is the first official guest. I love this. Okay, so I want to start with a question, maybe a couple questions. So first thing, the whole podcast is unplugging, and I feel like you've been a big factor in my life for unplugging, whether it's just opening my eyes to things or motivating me to do certain things or change my ways, because you've made a lot of changes in your life as well, and it's been very inspiring. So I kind of I'm going to start with some questions, and then we're going to do our thing, and at the end I'm going to end with a question as well.
Okay.
So
Awesome. Let's get it going.
so I've got a couple. So this one, when was the moment you realized you might be living someone else's version of life instead of your own?
I don't think I ever really thought that I was living someone else's version of life. I think I just wasn't being true to myself, or I wasn't leaning into who I was, and I think also it took some time to really, I think as a male, it just kind of takes time to grow into yourself, and mature and things like that. And I feel like, and also just like society and trying to fit in and things like that, probably made me shy away from who I really was and trying to be something that I perceived other people would like. So I guess just with age and and also, being with Jamie, your sister, I felt like that I could be my true self, and that kind of just helped me to do that in like all aspects of life, I guess.
So I guess what ways would you say you weren't your true self? Was it, it could be maybe your career path, or maybe even just how you were expressing yourself? Like what were the ways you feel like you were, and then maybe how you've changed?
I feel like a lot of, like, especially at school, it was just hiding certain hobbies or things that I didn't think people would find cool, playing World of Warcraft or video games and other things like that. I thought maybe people wouldn't find that cool and stuff, so I would hide that. And just, when you're in an environment where there's a lot of people that, you don't really know, or you're not super close with, and you're trying to fit in and things, you kind of will just put on like some masks, or, maybe exaggerate things a little bit. Like you're, trying to make people laugh when maybe that's not like what makes you laugh. I don't know, just because you think like that'll make other people happy, I guess.
Like it might not even be something you truly think or believe, but you maybe know it'll get a laugh.
Yeah. Just things like that. Wait, what was the second part of that?
Yes, I was asking what were some ways that maybe you feel that you weren't being your true self, and maybe what are the changes that you've made in order to get where you are today?
And then I think one of the biggest mindset shifts for me was just being positive all the time, like trying to be, because I feel like in life, you are the one who's inside your head. So that voice inside your head is you. That's your thoughts. That's like yourself talking to yourself. And so a really big one for me was changing the way I spoke to myself, and, trying to be positive, and happy and things like that, because there's a lot of times in life where you're not, you're going to be bored, or you're in a situation where maybe it's like not something you want to do, or a mundane task or whatever. But I feel like if you have a positive outlook and, you can make fun of that situation, it's going to improve your life dramatically. And then also just talking to yourself positively all the time is going to eventually snowball into you believing those things, and then that's how you live your life. And I think that was one of the biggest mind shift changes for me. So that, yeah.
So okay, this makes me think. So as far as that mindset shift, because that's something that I battled with a lot. And as you know, just having negative self-talk and trying to work myself out of that. So I guess what I'm curious is, was it something that maybe you intentionally decided and you said, I'm going to make a conscious effort to talk to myself nicely? Or because I can see how having that positive mindset can change, can kind of change a lot of things in your life. And I feel like also having a positive mindset, it's a little bit of a what comes first, chicken or the egg type of thing, in that like your life will get better if you have a positive mindset, but if your life is better, you will also get a more positive mindset, I feel like. So I don't know, what was it for you? What was that process? Was it something intentional that you did, or is it maybe you just started making better decisions and it changed your mindset?
I honestly think it was a bit of both. I made a conscious effort to speak to myself in a better light and try to be more positive in situations. And then also I kind of changed my lifestyle habits as well, which into more positive things. So eating better, making more of a conscious effort to exercise and do all those things for longevity and things like that. So I think it was a bit of both.
Interesting. When would you say that shift, obviously it's not like it just happens overnight, but when would you, if maybe you could look back, when would you say that shift started happening? Or maybe
I'd say
there was
becoming a
noticeable.
dad.
When what?
Becoming a dad.
Yeah, definitely. I could see that, especially with, I feel like you really locked in your diet when that happened.
Yeah.
And that's I feel like when a big switch happened.
Yeah, I think honestly, when we found out we were pregnant, and then once Chase came along and everything, that was a massive change as well. I really just wanted to be the best example to him, and I felt like, I wanted to, all these things that I wanted for his life. If I wasn't doing them as well, I just thought that, that it wouldn't stick. So changing a lot of things to give him the best opportunities kind of forced me to do it as well. So yeah, I think that was like the biggest thing that really pushed me to change all those things.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah, because I've noticed it too, for sure. So something real quick before I get to my other questions, I guess I want to talk about like being a father and Chase and all of that, because something that we talk about a lot is food, and I've found it very, very cool how strict you are with what he eats, and maybe if you want to explain why.
Yeah, so that just kind of goes into what I was talking about before, is I wanted give him the best life that I could. And so giving him, whole foods and things that are going to make him healthy and strong and happy and develop his brain and all that was just a big part of that. And I had so many stomach issues growing up, and for like the longest time, I had all these issues. I had a really bad relationship with food. And so switching that and seeing how much of a change that was for me also was just like, cementing that into my head that this is the right path and this is what I want for him. I don't want him to ever have to, struggle with what I did. So yeah, that's like a lot of it.
Yeah. And I mean, I really admire that, because it's, the more that I've looked into things and even tested things out, I feel like it's really opened my eyes up to how important food is in our lives, and how, especially the quality of food that we put into our bodies is like it's probably one of the most important things that we could do, I feel like, because it's literally the building blocks of your whole physical being. So
Yeah.
it just makes total sense. And it's crazy because looking back, it seems like such a no-brainer, but yet it's not a no-brainer for so many.
Not these days, for sure.
Right,
I mean,
yeah.
and the way that they've marketed things now, it's just everything's just a quick, easy thing, and they, the flavors are so ridiculous because it's all chemicals, and you just don't stand a chance. So if you don't have someone else like shepherding you, you're just going to struggle, especially as a kid. Like if you say you give them like a berry and then you give them some sort of type of candy, you know, of course the candy's going to be outweigh the fruit and stuff because it's chemicals, it's addicting, it's got sugar and all that sort of stuff. So, you know, I just didn't want him to have to deal with that really.
Yeah, and it's pretty wild to see. I mean, we eat dinner almost every night and or together, I mean. And yeah, Chase, he will cook a garlic and he'll eat the whole thing pretty much. And you'll give him some and that garlic immediately goes right down the hatch and he's asking for more.
Yeah.
I mean, he's passing up steak sometimes. Like, I mean, he only eats the yolks out of the eggs mostly.
Yeah. He's definitely gotten pickier as he's gotten older, but his palate is pretty developed.
It's crazy.
Yeah, he eats a lot better than, you know, most adults I know. So
yeah, I mean, almost all, I would say.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
But I think the proof is, you know, in the pudding type situation where he seems so much more advanced than other kids. He's putting sentences together. He's able to traverse like all these different structures at the park, which, you know, most parents are like, oh my God, how old is he? And we're like, yeah, he's 2. And they can't, they don't understand because like their kid's 3 or 4 and doesn't even want to able to do that sort of stuff. So I think it's really just cemented and proof that this is how we should be living.
Yeah, it's total proof. And that's something that I'm definitely grateful for, living with you guys and seeing so closely all of this because, again, like you're saying, it's just cementing in my brain, like how important all of this stuff is, like just seeing how developed, how strong, healthy, beautiful he is in every way. You know what I mean? He's like, he's this perfect little specimen. He's extremely healthy. He apparently seems really smart to me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's pretty insane to see. So I just wish more people could see that and
like how much of a difference it is.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
And unfortunately there's no, he doesn't have like a cousin, I don't know, I guess nearby that's like his age that you could really compare it to or anything, unfortunately we don't have that kind of like test
comparison. Yeah.
I know. I wish we could because some people could just write it off. Oh, he's got great genetics, blah, 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 whatever. But not that he doesn't, obviously he does, but still like great genetics plus it's like my football coaches used to always say, hard work beats talent unless talent works hard. And it's like, I think this is the perfect example where I think he's got both. He's got the great genetics, he's got the talent, and you're putting in all of the right fuel and everything. So
yeah, that's Jamie and I talk about it all the time. Imagine how different I would have been if I was growing up the same as Chase,
Right.
Because I'm already super tall, pretty athletic, but imagine if I ate all the right foods and stuff. I don't even think I was hitting my protein goals ever when I was like a kid.
No, or water.
Yeah,
bro,
like none of that. I would drink sodas, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I think back to some of the things I ate as a kid. And it's like, dude, what? Like that was. I might as well just been eating some garbage. Like it was so bad.
But going back to talking about, what is it? My inspiration and stuff. Also, living with you was a big inspiration.
Oh no, ma'am, let's not do that.
Got the cat on the mix board. But yeah,
meow meow.
Living with you was a big inspiration for me as well because seeing you dialed into because you were pretty dialed in. Not like, you still would binge on weekends or like you'd have a cheat day or whatever it may be.
Or gorge on some protein bars.
But you still, you prioritized protein and you did all those things, and that was like a big inspiration for me, and that's kind of what got me to start cooking. I feel like, or a lot more.
Come on.
And then it definitely helps that tri-tip is just so good, so good. So having that every night is just amazing.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I feel like I was like most of the way there. Maybe like 75% of the way there, but this is something that I wanted my brain is scattered, so I have things in different places. So this is something that I wanted to bring up. So I remember this very, very distinctly. You said something along the lines, of if you're so health conscious and care about your physique, why are you putting this shit into your body? So that's in reference to like, you know, having cheat meals or a candy or my protein bars like that. Those were literally my kryptonite, like so bad. But yeah, I guess that really opened my eyes to, and you said something else like, I don't know what, so, cause I tried to justify it, you know, oh, I eat healthy, you know, most of the time and it's okay to do this every once in a while. But you said something like, why are you just intentionally setting yourself back? Like you're knowingly putting this stuff into your body that's not good, setting yourself back. So then you're having to bounce back after that. And then, so all you're doing is just setting yourself back.
You're just like spinning your wheels then.
And it's like, what's the point?
Going around in circles. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because we, you know, especially in the health space, they try to, you know, like The Rock, they say, you know, he's strict for 6 days of the week and then he has his crazy cheat day and all this stuff. And, you know, you see him eat, you know, whatever it is, like ungodly amounts of pancakes.
Pizzas. I've seen all the photos. Yeah.
And it's like, why, you know, if you can just stick through those urges for one, you know, a week and not have that cheat day and actually just just stay the course the whole time, it's actually way easier. And if you're not getting yourself addicted to sugar, you kick that addiction, you don't crave it at all, and it's actually way easier to just maintain and just stay.
Yeah, I think it's a psychological thing for sure, and also people, it's like a social thing too. You know, it's like when I used to work in an office, I was always eating like crazy weird diets, whatever, you know, but I wouldn't, they would have someone's birthday or a lunch or whatever, and they'd have cakes, biscuits, you know, all kinds of just garbage, candy and whatnot. And everyone would look at me so strange because I wouldn't eat any of it. I'd never have the cake. I'd never have anything. And they'd all look at me so weird. Like I was the odd one out, where I feel like it's the opposite. Like you guys are putting all this trash in your body, and most of them are sedentary too. They come to work, they just sit in an office all day, they go home, that's it.
And at home they just turn the TV on or something.
Yeah, exactly. And to me, that's just crazy. But that's such a, like, society has gone that way to where that's acceptable and that's like the normal. And the other thing is, like you were saying, in the fitness industry, you know, I even see fitness trainers and things like that talk about diets, and they're always like, oh, but don't worry, you can still have your cheat meal, or you can still have this. And I just think that that's missing the mark. Like like you were saying, it just intentionally sets you back.
I mean, that's what you said.
Yeah, but well, you said, I said, but you know what I mean? It just seems, it's, you know, yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. And that's what was so interesting to me, is because I'd never, I don't know, being in that system, I was just so, I guess, brainwashed and normalized into that type of thinking that hearing someone from the outside is like, oh, yeah, why am I just like intentionally setting myself back every day? But because in a lot of times they say, oh, as long as you're 80% strict or whatever, like you're good. As long as you're eating 80% clean, you're good. And then
that just sets you up for like an unhealthy relationship with food. You're just thinking about that cheat meal all week, and it's just an addiction at the end of the day, basically.
Yeah. I mean, sugar, especially, I know you said this too about sugar. Like if you were to take a step back and think of it, don't think of it as sugar, but just think about what people say around sugar, and like that totally sounds like a drug. Oh, I just can't wait to get my fix. Like, no, I can't give my sodas up.
I could never give that up. Yeah. Which is crazy. That's an addict. That's addict.
You literally get cravings for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I feel like you don't even notice it until you kick it. Mm-hmm. And so I recently told one of the guys I met in Costa Rica, cause he's kind of on this like health journey now. And that's what I told him. Like, dude, if you're ever getting like sugar cravings, get some honey, have a spoonful of that. You'll be more than satisfied.
Exactly.
Like, it's way better.
That's the thing. We were given everything we need on this earth just from, you know, plants and things like that, fruits, vegetables, honey, like the things that we don't need to make all these chemical, like,
process things.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But I think they do it for, I think it's all money and health.
Yeah.
Like they want you to be sick, and they want you to, you know, spend money on all this crap.
So yeah, I yeah, totally agree. I think it's multiple, like, I know we've talked about this for sure. That's multiple things. It's one, the healthcare system, and two, like they want to make more, like crazy flavors. Cause if you think about it, there's like, I know I've heard of these stories where it's like Doritos and Fritos. They literally have scientists and fucking engineers in there developing how they're going to make these flavors and all this stuff to where you eat more. And they run experiments and they have people try to like see how many chips they'll eat and then they'll increase the flavor, increase that, and see what is the most addictive. So it's like there's that aspect of it, and then also the health aspect of it of this is not nourishing food. It's actually making you sick. It's literally poison. Yeah. So the pharmaceutical industry loves that.
And it doesn't satiate you or anything. So then you're hungry, minutes later anyway.
Yeah, I know. I can't even remember, like, think of how many times I had chips. Like, and you eat the whole bag.
Exactly. And then you look at the packaging and everything is like marketed to kids. It's all bright colors. It's all collaborations with, their favorite TV shows and things like that. So yeah.
You get a free toy with the thing or whatever. Yeah.
So everything is just about, making us sicker and worse versions of ourselves, I feel like.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of it at the end of the day is just trying to make more money, and whatever industry can do it will do it in some way, shape, or form.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
But these people just have no like conscience, I guess.
Yeah, I agree.
Just don't care about the human race.
I mean, as we're learning with stuff that's coming out, I feel like the people at the top, they genuinely do not care. They're just it's all about power. They're not. I don't even think they're either human. I don't think they're human, and I don't know if that's in the metaphorical sense or the literal sense, but I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty disturbing. Okay, wait. I've got more questions. Okay, so what is a belief or expectation society pushes on people that you've had to unplug from in your own life? I guess food could be a big one. That's what we just talked about, but I know there's got to be more.
I think the whole 9 to 5 thing is, something that I feel like they push on. They kind of train you to want to, not to want, but to live this life. Even the school system. That's something that Jamie and I have been talking about for Chase, because I don't believe in the school system for sure. And I never really enjoyed school, besides sports and things like that.
Recess.
Sitting inside with fluorescent lights and learning these subjects that don't really pertain to my life. So we've spoken at length about that, and I feel, it's just basically setting you up to live that office job life. You go to school for it's almost the same as like a work day. It's a few hours less, whatever. But yeah, they just kind of like are teaching you that this is what your life's going to be. You go there, you got to listen to someone else. You have to put your hand up to go to the toilet, and that just, even when you go to work, it's kind of the same.
Yeah, true.
Some places even make you, clock in and out when you go to the bathroom and stuff like that. Like, it's just crazy to me,
dude. Yeah.
So that was definitely a big thing that I never like really believed or wanted to be a part of. Although it's like hard not to, because otherwise you have to work for yourself, and that's like hard to do.
Yeah, so it's not guaranteed. Like, that's the whole thing that they sell. I feel like with the corporate route or the 9 to 5 is like, oh, it's safe, well, you're going to get that paycheck at the end of the week, which is true. But I mean, at what cost? You're selling your soul.
Yeah. Like, literally. You're not living a life you want.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like you're not even living, because if you think about it, they say you work 40-hour work week, but you still have to factor in
travel,
like 1 hour lunch as well. That's unpaid. Okay. So that's an extra, 5 hours a week. And then travel, you got to get ready for work, you get home, stuck in traffic. Like, it's way more than that. You really only have a few hours every day that are your own.
Exactly. And then those hours you get to yourself, you're so tired by then, or, you don't really have much time. Yeah. That's how I felt when I was working, in an office. I just felt like I was living for the weekend, or I was living, for my time off, like all the time. And I still remember probably the best I ever felt was leaving the office on a Friday, and I'd just be in the car, driving home singing, super happy because I knew I wouldn't have to go back for a couple of days, especially if it was a long weekend. I was so chuffed.
Dude.
Which is so sad. That was that was like the happiest I was back then.
Yeah.
And now I feel like I'm just happy all the time. So it's crazy how much of a difference it can make.
Yeah. I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You've seen me go through that whole process.
Yeah, but it definitely takes a lot of consistency and hard work, and you have to be very diligent with how you spend your time and things like that. So
yeah. Well, and the irony is, I feel like you end up working more, but you're not necessarily upset about it.
yeah, exactly, and you get to enjoy life a lot more, I feel like.
Yeah, and you have opportunities where you don't have to work. Like we don't necessarily have to work any certain hours or specific amounts of time,
Yeah.
But yeah, we end up working way more.
Yeah.
So,
But luckily, like the more work you put in, usually it's like the more you're rewarded. So that's also a plus.
yeah.
Whereas I feel like if you do that in an office job, it's not always the case. You could put in a ton of hours and then just still stay the same. They don't really like care about you that much.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And, you might get a rate, you're like, I don't know, I guess you're kind of somewhat guaranteed a raise every year, but like, you don't know how much it's going to be. And
I mean, if you take any days off, you take a holiday, say goodbye to that raise.
dude, no kidding. Yeah. I was going to say, so the first place I worked out of college, I still remember this. I was in the orientation, whatever you want to call it, where they're onboarding thing, right? And they're like telling me all okay, so here's the insurance, blah, blah, blah. And then, dude, I remember they said, okay, and your vacation. So you get 1 week of vacation every year. And just like, I felt everything in me just tighten up. And I was like, oh, I just immediately felt claustrophobic. Like I get 1 week of freedom a year from this place, but 51 weeks out of the year, I got to be here. But that's it.
Yeah.
It's gross. And then another thing is, it was funny. You said that same place right before I quit. This was like the final straw for me. I think I was there 3 months or 4 months. They installed. So you had to have a little key fob to like scan yourself into the building. And then they started putting those on. So there was one big giant, I don't know what you call it, area where they had all the oh my God, I can't think right now, where they had all of the
bathrooms,
all the desks, all the cubicles. That's what they're called. Yeah. So they had all the cubicles in this one really big open office area. And then, they had a door that went to a hallway out to the bathroom. And then they installed those same key things on the doors to go to the bathroom. And at the end of the week, they would email you a sheet that had entries for every time your thing was scanned. So they literally were tracking how much you were.
Did they deduct your hours?
So it was like honor system in a way. So when you had to submit your timesheet, they sent that just so so that way you could track your hours and let them know how much you worked. And it was like,
yeah, that's just
so it's gross, dude.
So controlling.
Yeah, it's just, I feel like that type of mindset is just inspiring people to not want to, I don't know,
go to the bathroom ever.
Yeah,
which is not healthy.
Just like be happy, even like, geez, like you have no freedom. We're gonna, that I'm. It's crazy too because even before, like you brought me in to this like social media space. I was still even resistant to it a little bit just because it made me uncomfortable, like being on the other side of the camera.
Yeah.
But it's crazy because I see it in other people as well. How people, they'll talk about, like some of my buddies will talk about how they don't like their job and they're so hopeless and stuff, but like they would never consider doing that. And it's like, I don't know, it's interesting.
It's hard putting yourself out there,
Totally. But
I think that's another one where if you talk to yourself positively all the time, and you're confident, it's going to be a lot easier.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's still hard.
But yeah, going back to the office stuff, I feel like that's exactly the thing. They teach you that start you with that in school. So by the time you get to the office and they put in these key fobs where you have to scan in and out of the toilet, it's not like different, that much of a difference. Like you've done that since you were a kid.
Right.
It's like they basically are training you to be these like perfect office slaves.
I know it's crazy. Yeah, wait, I've got more. Ooh, oh my goodness. Okay, so this. Ooh, okay. So just kind of speaking about the office things, like I had a lot of, coworkers, I'm sure you did too, where you go in and all they talk about is how their team did last night, their team. And then they're pissed because their team lost, or they're happy because their team won. Or, I mean, I feel like it's the same with politics. So like, why is it, do you think, that people get so into that stuff? Like what drives people to like find that stuff so interesting and like devote all of their mental state to that?
I think it's a distraction. It's like a little bit of kind of hope almost. You're in this life that you're probably not super happy. You're not living out your dreams. You're just kind of going by and going through the motions. And I feel like having something else that is out there that you can kind of grab onto and say your team's doing well, then, oh, yay, like everything's great. Your president wins the election. You're like, yes, this is amazing. I'm a part of that. And they somehow feel like they're part of that, and they're like living that out themselves. I feel like,
yeah, it's so odd too.
I honestly just feel like all that stuff is just a distraction, to keep people happy in their mundane lives.
Yeah. And I've especially felt that with sports, and now politics even more, where it's just like, okay, first of all, you have no control over what happens. Like,
exactly. That's the thing. Speaking about it, that's just your opinion on something that's totally out of your control. Why? Yeah.
And even with politics, because, a lot of people's opinions of politics come from the news, right? And the news is crazy to me. Like, I don't know why anyone would ever watch the news. Like, it's so fabricated, fake, edited. Like, they're showing you just like the tiniest glimpse of something just to prove their point.
That's literally working in social media, and especially the job that we do has really beat it into me how fake everything is out there. So just everything that's in the news, like even celebrity things, like they're all, manipulated, like instances.
You're saying like the people, or
no, just
or
like
just like
say, like if you see like a controversy or something out there, it's something that they've like manipulated to put out there to either get their name out there or like whatever, all these like things that you see in the news and stuff are for an agenda, is what I feel like.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like, I mean, go ahead.
No, yeah.
It's just, I don't know. Yeah, like you said, working in social media now and editing videos, like you can easily crop out what somebody said. So like, to me, that's just like, why would you believe anything you see on a screen?
But people just don't know better.
I know.
And they're just so trusting.
And I guess it's all they've known. And especially, I feel like the older generations, they maybe could have, I don't know. I don't think you could ever really trust the news or media in general, but I feel like they could, at least in America, they could have, I'm thinking of my grandma's generation. They could have at least trusted certain things, in that if they got a regular 9-to-5 job, like they would be fine at the end. They'd have a good retirement, and they still could support their, like one income could support an entire family.
Yeah.
Get a house, like have multiple cars, like get everything. But nowadays I feel like you can't. It's not realistic at all. Like, I was working as an engineer. There was no way I was going to afford a house, let alone down payment and, like have anything else. Like, I was living in an apartment and barely scraping by. I was in credit card debt, and I was working as a mechanical engineer. Like, I feel like I was kind of in my mind, I feel like it was promised, maybe not explicitly to me, but it was promised that, I was going to be set. And obviously it's a competitive market and everything else, but like, I had a decent job, and I was doing all right, but still, you just like you can't keep up. So like I feel like to me that was a big moment where kind of opened my eyes to okay, what I thought isn't necessarily true. Like I don't know how to word it, but
Yeah, they kind of had sold you on this dream that's not even attainable these days.
right,
Yeah.
right, yeah, it's
But I think maybe they could have believed things back then. But I also think that everything's always been kind of like manipulated in a way for them to like push their agendas and things like that.
yeah, totally. I know we have no control over what happens.
Because I think the big thing with the older generations is that they didn't have as much knowledge as we do right now. We have social media, we have the internet, all kinds of things. So you can look things up. You just have so much more knowledge at your disposal. And I feel like that is such a big reason we have these like thoughts nowadays. That's why we're able to like unplug and get away from that, because we question things more. We're not just following what we're told. I feel like back in the day, they just were told something and they all just did it. They all followed, without asking any questions, because that's just what you did back then.
True.
So I think just the way that things have gone, like now there's just like so much more, just knowledge and things out there, which is power.
Yeah, it's true. And that's the interesting part about the internet, particularly what we do is it's all about how you use the internet. Like the internet's a tool and you can either use it for learning, like I feel like we mostly do, we're always like trying to learn new things and just make ourselves better. Like you can easily use it as a tool for benefiting your life, or you can use it to scroll for hours, waste time just looking at memes and just be a couch slob all weekend and watch Netflix,
Yeah, which is kind of a double-edged sword with what we do because we're kind of putting that content out there. But yeah, that's true.
Yeah, but I mean, we're giving the people what they want, so
it is entertainment at the end of the day. So.
Right. Which is something interesting that you've always said, which is America's biggest, export.
Yeah, is entertainment. That's what I feel like.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about it, but it makes sense. Like that's literally what we do. We're just a big show.
Even your politics and everything, think about it. Even when I was living in Australia, we all knew what was going on, even with the Trump stuff, like back in the day, all that kind of stuff, like all that stuff was still in our news. And I think it's global. And so that's what makes me think, that's like their biggest export, because like everything they do is kind of, just entertainment.
Yeah, it makes sense, because I've seen clips of people in like South American, Latin countries watching the Super Bowl. I'm thinking, why would you care,
Exactly.
But yeah, they still are invested in our teams here. It's pretty wild.
Yeah. Just more distractions.
Just plugged in. Okay, so I do. Oh, okay. I'll get onto this one first. So I saw this. I spent some time in the conspiracy Reddit, subreddit, and one thing I saw somebody say, and I thought this was really interesting. They said, "What if AI is intentionally messing up?" So like you'll see video, like the video that I saw. Somebody had screenshotted this clip of what is it, Benjamin Netanyahu, and apparently he put out some video. I don't even know what it said, but in the video they found this one frame where it looked like he had 6 fingers. So they were thinking that it was AI. And so the person, asked this question: what if AI is intentionally messing up to make us put our guards down and think that it's less capable than it is? It's just not showing us all of its cards yet.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting.
Right? I kind of could believe it. I feel like I've heard a lot of conspiracy theories like that where they think AI. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, because I thought that was going to go the route of, what if AI is more of just a tool to show us that, to make us think that crazy things happening are just normal. because you see all these crazy things with AI. So then when you see it happening in real life, you just be like, oh yeah, you've seen it.
Yeah. I've heard that with particularly the show The Boys. So, when I was first watching it, I just kept thinking like, oh my God, I feel like this is a metaphor for what's happening in real life, how it actually is in real life. Just with, I don't know, like corruption in government and stuff. And one of my buddies told me, he goes, yeah, all they're doing is they're just waving it in your face and normalizing it. So it kind of makes sense. I could see that.
I feel like there's a few things where similar out shows that have done the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think it off the top of my head, but I've definitely heard that about other stuff too.
Yeah. And it makes sense. Like everything's always right in front of our faces, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's how you get away with stuff. It's just like hiding in plain sight.
Normalize it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So, all right. This is going to take a little bit of a different route. So,
okay.
If anyone's listening, they don't know Blake. He's my brother-in-law. He's married to my sister, and they have a son, Chase, who's about 2. So, something I've kind of noticed just recently. You were talking about, he's kind of been, I wouldn't say mean, but he's been not as nice to you, not liking you as much. And you're saying he was like hitting you and stuff.
Yeah. He's just going through a phase right now.
Yeah. Yeah. But, and maybe this could help any other, young fathers out there. So like in situations like that, how do you not let it get to you? Like that's gotta be really tough.
I think it's just understanding that, he's not doing that because he dislikes me. And this is something that the pediatrician told Jamie. She took him the other day because he's been sick, and usually we don't really go to the doctors or anything like that because he's pretty healthy. But he got sick. I think it was from our plane trip back from Hawaii, unfortunately. But she said, because Jamie told her what was going on, and she said, toddlers at that age, they just don't have the capacity. Say there's like 2 people in front of them, they don't have the capacity to like, oh, I love both of you. It's like they just tunnel vision onto one person pretty much. So if Jamie's there, that's like who he's focused on. And
okay.
And I think just trying to know that this isn't going to be forever, and he's just kind of like starting to get these big emotions, and he's trying to figure these things out. You just got to try and like look at it like that, I feel like.
Yeah. I'm curious though, is it pretty common for, I would imagine it is, especially children that young, they probably have more of an attachment to their mom, right? Like
I think it goes either way because one of his friends, Miles, their parents, apparently he's attached to the dad. So I think it just depends. But it would make more sense that it would be the mother because they grew inside the body. They're used to her a lot more. And especially when he was a really young baby, she could, soothe him a lot easier. But we've both spent like, as much time with him as each other. So it's not, I don't think it's like anything like that. I just think he just feels more comfortable with her at the moment. And obviously I feel like that will change. Usually young boys, once they get like a little bit older, their dad becomes their hero, I feel like. So I think things will shift over time. But yeah, right now he's just through a phase where he prefers Jamie, and yeah, you just got to weather the storm pretty much.
Yeah.
'Cause he's not doing it to upset you or make you feel bad or anything like that. So I feel, yeah, you just have to try and look at it like in that light, I guess.
Yeah. And I guess the reason why I wanted to ask that is because I have seen how much time you've spent with him, and I know I can guarantee that's more than 99.99% of fathers out there. So that's why it sticks out to me that, he would still not that he's like got a pick or whatever, but that he still is acting like that, even though, like you're saying, it's not intentional or anything like that.
But I feel like, and I hope I'm not overstepping here, talking about stuff in your past, but I feel like this is something that I feel like probably happened with your dad, where you were younger and maybe you preferred your mom more. And that's, I feel like maybe because your dad was probably pretty insecure or, whatever it may be. And I feel like him seeing that you were more attached to your mom kind of just probably upset him. And instead of him being able to deal with that, his emotions and things, he just kind of treated you like shit instead.
Yeah. I definitely got called a lot of names.
Yeah. And I think that's like a big thing. And so you have to just like, let go of your ego, because it's not going to serve you in that situation. So
yeah. And ultimately it's just going to hurt your relationship with your child. And if, like, what's the point of having a child? It's not to, I'm thinking about my dad's whole situation, and yeah, he missed the point, which makes me think he had kids for the wrong reason. But
yeah,
that's not the point of what.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
Sorry, but
no, it's all good.
But I just thought that related to
no, totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so, I don't know, it's so interesting to me to like see this whole other perspective, and it's cool to see someone who actually genuinely wants a good relationship with their son. And why I wanted to bring it up, because I would imagine that's got to be tough in those situations. Got to get to you.
And parenting's tough. And sometimes, I'll go wake him up in the mornings because Jamie's sleeping in. I'm usually up earlier, so sometimes he'll wake up, and I'll go up to get him before she's up. And lately, as soon as I open the door, I start talking to him like, "Hey Chase, like good morning, blah blah blah." And he, nowadays, he's, no, mama, no. I'm like, oh my gosh. But you just gotta go with it. I open it up. I let him, just sit there for a little bit. I'll talk to him. He gets upset. Then I'll just kind of move out of his line of sight. Just let him, wake up a little bit more, and then he'll kind of be chill. But you just gotta weather it.
Yeah. And like you said, I can imagine once he becomes more active and physically capable, he'll start wanting to do more things, playing sports, and he'll see how active and capable you are. So it'll be, you'll actually be able to do a lot more things with him. Like, I can definitely see how that would kind of shift. So, and probably soon, because I would imagine he's going to be getting into sports pretty soon.
Yeah, we put in a few sports and stuff, but he's going to get to that age, probably like around 3, I think, where they can do a lot more things. So
yeah. Okay. So I'm thinking we'll probably wrap this up soon. How long is it? I don't know how long it's been. Dang, I think it's been close to an hour. Damn, that's crazy. All right. So yeah, I've been thinking about just this podcast, and I've just been thinking a lot about it this week, so it's been good. That's shown me how I think this is a good path for me, just because I have pages of notes of stuff I want to talk about and do, and direction and stuff. So I wanted to end with a couple questions. So all right, these are gonna be really okay. So what is one thing that people should unplug from? Like, what would you say is one really important thing? If someone had to unplug from one thing, what would you say?
I would probably like the government, listening to the news and all that sort of stuff, would be a big one.
Yeah.
I would say. And then consumerism, I guess.
Oh, it's a hard one.
Yeah. But, especially like food and in that sense of, big corporations and everything. 'Cause I feel like they just hide so much crap in everything, and it's just going to make you worse.
Yeah, I agree. And at the end of the day, they're just trying to make more money. They don't actually care about your health or anything.
Yeah, and most things that are labeled health foods are not. So
yeah, I know. I think about that if I ever go into like Sprouts and Whole Foods. Like, you feel so good walking in there, and you want to just buy everything, but it's like
It's still not.
it's just marketing, you know?
Yeah.
They're just like Trader Joe's, especially. You feel so good when you're walking in there, but yeah, it's literally just marketed to make you feel that way.
Exactly. Yeah. That's just another
psychology, bro.
Yeah.
It goes deep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. One last thing. What is one way that you unplugged this week? I mean, I feel like a lot of your life is unplugged, but maybe like a way that is new or brought you enjoyment or something like that.
Probably not. It's not really new, but just going on walks without my phone is something that is really good for unplugging. I feel like getting away from, being on your phone or even having just that distraction with you and just having your own thoughts, that's probably a big one.
I like that. Yeah. And you've definitely inspired me to walk a lot more too. I used to not really like or just care about walking, but yeah, I've been doing it more, especially without my phone too. It feels so good. Just not even just like I don't spend time on my phone anyways, but sometimes I'll get tempted. And I'll be like, ooh, I'll be thinking about something. Ooh, I could look that up. And it's like, just wait, just like leave the phone at home. Cause it's always, I feel like it's always like some type of mentality of you got to be productive. So like, I could go on this walk, and while I'm on that walk, I could, look up the things that I've been thinking about. But I feel like just having unplugging in that way is a way that is productive. Yeah. It's not productive in that you're producing something, but you're bettering yourself in your life.
That's what I think. And then you're more present with that time. So you're actually enjoying, you're looking at like everything around you. You're hearing the animals probably more, like the smells, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I think it's a very good thing to start doing.
Yeah. And actually one last thing, one thing I do really appreciate about you, that I've been taking note that most other people don't, is just the appreciation for like the sun and the moon. I know I got, this sun and moon tattoo. I know I think you have both as well, right? But in different tattoos.
I've got the sun for sure. I don't know if I have the moon.
Is it Jamie that has the moon?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, I feel like most people don't. Like, actually, Monica texted me last night. Did you see the moon? But like, that's very rare. You know what I mean? To find people that actually care about it.
Well, I feel like deep down, this was another thing I kind of wanted to bring up this during this chat was, I feel like a lot of the things that I've started doing for my health were things that I did as a kid just unintentionally. Like walking around barefoot, just exercising a lot, just all these things that make me feel good and whatever. And a lot of these things I started doing, and then I started researching and then finding out that these are like the things you should be doing. So it was interesting. And I felt like my body wanted to do these things because it knew that it was like good for me. But yeah.
Oh, you know what? Maybe we're not going to wrap it up. Go ahead.
And then going back to the sun and moon, I feel like for me, they're like the givers of life kind of. So for me, some people are religious and things like that. And I feel like for me, it's the sun and the moon are like, the god and the goddess. And then I feel like we're just all connected in a way, that we're kind of like a big collective. And that's just kind of my philosophy.
Yeah, no, I totally believe that too. And I guess that could kind of tap into kind of my spirituality type beliefs. And I feel like we're probably pretty aligned in those as well. But yeah, I feel like kind of like you were saying you're saying these are the things I used to do as a kid. And you were saying my body wanted to do these things. I feel like that's a big thing that we miss nowadays is trusting your gut instinct. And I feel like, unplugging and intentionally becoming healthier and living intentionally. I feel like those things, they allow you to tap into that more because like I was telling you I think it was last night, I used to not really have much of an appreciation for the moon or sunsets or any of that stuff. And I feel like because I was so far out of alignment of my true self, I wasn't happy at all. My mind was always somewhere else, I was just so unhappy that like you said, I never took time to stop and smell the roses. And that's where I feel like unplugging is so crucial. And, you know, it doesn't mean you have to go buy a shack and, you know, live off grid, but there's things you can do in your everyday life, small things that may seem small, but are going to make a big impact.
But they compound, and
True.
and over time that it's like a big change for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And maybe this goes back into the healthy eating. I feel like it's one of those things that, like we both have given up sugar. And another thing that you pointed out when you were confronting me about like the protein bars or like putting shit into my body is like, it's like there's all these chemicals in there, and shoot, I forget where I was going with that, but I don't know. I just feel like I lost my train of thought, but
dang, we were onto something.
I was onto something good, but maybe it's gonna come back as soon as we stop. I already know every time.
What's like the biggest like learning thing that you've found from this whole process?
I mean, I would say for me, it's trusting my gut instinct and going with it, because if I don't, like, I'm just going to be living as somebody that's not true to myself. And that's kind of another thing. This unplugging thing, I think it's being honest with yourself is a big message of it. And like I was living a life that wasn't mine. It wasn't.
So that's what the question you were asking me before. That's where it kind of comes from, I guess, right?
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. That's where that came from. But
that's cool.
Yeah. So I would say for me, like the biggest learning thing is to try to treat yourself as best as you can, and listen to what's deep down. And I've been getting into this kind of more spirituality thing, and they call it your sacral response. So you practice it by getting asked yes or no questions, and you have to just immediately answer. And you almost give like a grunt, like a and that is practicing listening to your gut. So the more you can do that, the more you can actually learn how to live in alignment and figure out what's right for you and what's not right for you. And I've been practicing that a lot more, because myself being the people pleaser as I have been in my life, all that is just me not living my true self. So that's what I feel. The biggest thing is just be honest with yourself, be brutally honest with yourself. You have to be, or else you're not going to be living.
I totally agree with that for sure. That's if you're not honest with yourself, then you're not going to live the life you want.
And deep down is the thing. Deep down.
Yeah, because I feel like that's exactly goes back to, those cheat meals and things like that. I just feel like that's not really being honest with yourself, because if you were honest, you want to get to this goal, and then you're doing all these things that are like sabotaging that pretty much.
Yeah. And it's crazy to me that that's like a crazy mindset,
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely grateful for you, everything that you've inspired me and ways that you've benefited my life. So
I think it goes both ways though. I think we're both big inspirations for each other, and definitely living around each other. I think we just like build each other up. So
totally agree.
Yeah, I appreciate you, and same goes.
Brother, this is going to be the first of many, so get used to it. Thanks for coming on, bro.
Well, thanks for having me.
It's been a long time coming, and I would say that you're probably the inspiration behind the unplugging thing. I would say that you're the one that opened my eyes up, like I was saying with the sugar thing. Like that really opened my eyes up to thinking about things differently and trying to change my life and do things, like I'm saying, that I know are brutally honest and right for me.
Yeah, because I feel like that when I said that to you about the, why would you be so disciplined in these areas but not like fully?
Yes,
right?
That's what you said.
And so then that's how I kind of live my life, is that I don't want to just be disciplined in like the gym. I don't want to just be disciplined in my diet. I want to be disciplined in all these areas. So like it goes into my career, like my work, being a dad, all that stuff. I want to be like the best I can be in all those areas. And so I think that's just like a similar thing, you know.
Yeah.
You have to be honest with yourself in all those areas. So
yeah, and that's something I've realized recently is I can't just be disciplined in one area and not in the rest. Like I'm all in or all out. And I've noticed myself like with the giving up music thing, like I'd sneak a few songs in here and there whenever I was feeling it. And then I noticed my diet started slipping. I stopped going to the gym. And I'm not saying that's necessarily because of that, but I think it's the mindset of once I start.
I'll just let it slide for today. Yeah. Then it'll seep into all aspects of your life. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no. And I'm realizing that firsthand now. So really interesting to hear you say it too.
Yeah.
So cool. Well, that's let's wrap it up. That's episode 3 of Unplugging. This is my brother-in-law Blakey Smalls, Blakezilla. You should follow him on everything. He's always putting out some good content. Do you stream anymore?
No.
I was gonna say follow you on stream, but yeah. So there we go. That was the first episode, the first guest too. We freaking did it. All right. Love you, bro.
I feel honored.
Yes, sir. Love you all. Treat yourself well.
You too.
And that's it.
Yeah. Tune in for the next one.